Welcome back to another episode of Flexwork Remote Live Podcast. Today we are with our special guest, the CEO of Optimum Owls, the #1 automated marketing agency and award-winning funnel design. And her name is Justina Rose. Justina, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So obviously this Optimum Owls, there's a lot of things your company offers. Would you like to get into exactly how you got it started and what specifics you do with it?
Yeah. So Optimum Owls, I ended up creating a second LLC because I was trying to get my face off of my company. I was getting on all these calls and talking to so many people, and I was like, let me just AI generate an owl. Like, people love cutesy, and create like this, like the automation side, because I had focused on funnels for so long, but I discovered Go High Level, which is such a powerful automation tool, and built out a bunch of really, really cool projects that I didn't even know were as powerful. I thought everybody was doing it with High Level. But as I started to show people, they were like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, okay, maybe I should offer this as like a service and push the automation side. And like a lot of people need funnels with automation, so they kind of go hand in hand. So Optimum Owls was not my plan from day one. I actually was supposed to be a brain surgeon. So this
Classic.
is definitely like, I'm so blessed to have this career path. But the original plan was like a fast track. I graduated quickly a year early from high school, and went straight into school. And things kind of fell apart. So I guess a little bit further back than that, I was born and raised here in Las Vegas. But going into my freshman year of high school, my mom and dad signed their rights away from me. So I moved across the country to Alpharetta, Georgia, and went to high school out there. And decided to graduate a year early. So as I was going through like my college decisions, because it was super important to me. I wanted to be the brain surgeon. My mom and dad said like, hey, we want you to come back to Vegas. And my dad said he'd pay for the school. So I moved back, uproot my life all over again, start classes. And a couple weeks in, the university's like, hey, your tuition isn't paid. So I called my dad, and he's like, oh, don't most people take a gap year? And I'm like, no, I graduated from high school a year early so I could fast track all of this. So now I owe $10,000 to UNLV, and I'm 17 years old and don't qualify for loans or anything. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Brain surgeon is kind of like tabled for a minute. So obviously like the next logical thing is to get my personal trainer certification, right? So I go and get my personal trainer, and I start applying for personal trainer jobs. And I actually met my first business partner. And that's when I learned that I actually had a really cool knack for like scaling systems and copywriting. Because the idea was, we were kind of doing the Hormozy thing before Hormozy was like Hormozy, where we were partnering with independently owned gyms like CrossFit gyms all across the nation, and hosting 6-week challenges on their behalf. So we were running ads to get gym partners and running ads to get people for the challenge. So we created this really cool ecosystem where I wrote the whole sales script, never doing sales a day in my life. I was just thinking, oh, well, like if I was this person, I would want to hear this and this. And we ended up building out a whole custom CRM. And like a year in, I'm like, wait, am I like a marketer? So that was kind of like how my toes got dipped in. But then all of these other companies started kind of tapping into the niche. UFC launched their challenge, and they advertised it as free. So all of our leads were like, oh, I thought this was free, because they were seeing the other ads too. So me and the partner decided, okay, we're going to close up shop here. And then the next logical thing was obviously to start a solar company, right? So then totally going down a different path. Now I'm learning like operations and all sorts of crazy things to get a job, from like sold to install. And so I'm learning all of these different like organization tactics, how to do project management boards, like all of this stuff that was unrelated to everything I did before, which was like running a call center, which we had 2,200 gym partners across the nation and 30 full-time reps by the end of it, which was so cool, because remember, I was 17. So now I'm 19, and we're starting the solar company, and I'm building that out. And then my life really transitioned into the agency world when I got invited to the Jake Paul Tana Mongeau wedding. I don't remember, or I don't know if you guys remember, like when they did that whole big like wedding facade at the graffiti mansion, but I live in Vegas. And so I ended up getting invited to that, like so random. And I was talking to the photographer, didn't realize the photographer was actually the photographer that lived in-house for like all of the people, like with the Team 10 and Brendan Teeger specifically. He's the one who paid for the wedding. So I ended up back at their house after this crazy wedding, and they're asking me, what do you do? I was like, oh, well, I ran a health and fitness consulting agency and I built the solar company. And they're like, we want you to be our house manager. Is like, that's something you'd be interested in doing? And I'm like, okay, another career switch. I guess I'll come in and I'll move into this. I literally moved into this house like 2 weeks later and was just like helping various roles. So supporting the content team, like managing like people coming in and out of the house. And then where it all finally, sorry, this has been a long spiel, but where it finally all kind of comes together is I was primarily helping the guy who was running marketing. And that's the first time I ever saw a true sales funnel. And I looked at sales funnels and I'm like, there is no way anyone in their right mind is buying from this, is buying, like who buys info products? People are really buying these courses and stuff, but I'm like, okay, go with the flow. He's like, okay, I need you to build a webinar. I'm like, a webinar, like a pitch deck? He's like, no, a webinar. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. And he tosses Russell Brunson expert secrets at me. He was like, figure it out. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out. I'm also supposed to just figure out how to build websites on ClickFunnels too. So it was like taking an infant and throwing it in the deep end of the digital marketing space. I swear this man fired me every week. Like he would kick me out of the house. You're so dumb. Like, how could you think this would do this? How could you think? And I was like, no, please, I want this opportunity. I want this opportunity. And I would beg like week after week. He would kick me out, say no, and then let me come back. I was like, I promise I've learned from this. I'm going to do better. Because like, think about my life. I'm 19 years old and now I'm in private jets, driving all these crazy cars. I'm learning things that I've never seen before. I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity. I'm going to put up with getting screamed at and like a little bit of an unreasonable tyrant like boss, like to, learn all of this stuff. And it was really cool. Like the first time I launched a webinar, the first project I was on, the webinar made $25,000 that night. And I had never seen anything like that, like an info product, a $9.97 info product generate revenue like that on our first attempt, and like, so I was like, wow, like maybe I'm kind of good at this. I know he's like telling me I'm terrible at it and firing me every week, but like maybe I'm onto something here. So I stuck that out for 2 years. I did that for 2 years and have worked with a lot of the biggest coaches in like the info product and coaching space. And then at the end of those 2 years, I ended up breaking away and starting my own agency. And yeah, that was a roller coaster. I was not prepared for, oh, you need clients. Like before, I never had to like worry about it. They were just coming in and out of the house, or like these guys all had personal brands and like knew everyone. So I never, like if we wanted to do a bath bomb launch for the Kashi twins, like they just came to the house. And now I'm like, oh, I kind of have to figure this out. So definitely like learned the ups and downs of like networking and making connections. And I think I told you that I'm 100% referral basis. So like a referral based business. So I've never ran an ad. I don't really post on social media, but I was able to like leverage the network that I built while I was in that position and then just build off of that. And I've been so blessed to be able to do what I do. I've had multiple clients win 2 Comma Club awards with my work. So yeah, it's been a wild ride and I'm so passionate. Like if you ask me anything about funnels or marketing, I will never shut up. So, I mean, I'm a certified yapper. If you can't tell already, I talk and talk and talk. So if you need to cut me off at any point,
No.
by all means. But yeah, that's kind of the long, short version of how I became a marketer.
That's awesome. And don't apologize for yapping because that story was very complex and super interesting. And every detail you said was necessary. I'm very intrigued. That was really cool.
Thank you.
So, when you were living with Jake Paul, was it the Team 10 house in Los Angeles you were at?
No, so we started it was called E-Label, Entrepreneur Label. And so Team 10 was in LA, but Vegas had this house where influencers would come and film their courses. So we had like a whole content studio, and they would come in, and I scripted their video sales letters. So they'd sit down and like they'd record the VSL, they'd record all of their like course content. And so we were bringing all of these people, all of these influencers into the house, and they'd stay. We had like a room that was just full of bunk beds. Like it was crazy. Like, cause the editors lived, like everybody lived there and worked like 14, 15 hours a day. Oh, I forgot to mention, I made $1,400 a month. I was not making good money there either. Like I was in the trenches, but I wanted to learn so bad. I was so fascinated by everything that is digital marketing. Like there's such a difference in the world of like classic sales and like building like a brick and mortar business and then agency world. I was like, wow, this is so cool. I can be dramatic, like copywriting that's super dramatic and over the top converts. Great. It was really fun. Like, even though like it was difficult and it did not get paid for the worth and the amount of work that went into it, like it was so valuable for me to like ride that all out to get to where I am now.
It's important. And I think you keep prefacing your age and you being young, and that's an important detail because obviously when we're younger, we can put up with poor leadership and bosses and cheap pay. But yeah, I can relate a little too. I was at a startup company, not making much, not treated the best, but they'd give us some flashy, hey, you're going to Los Angeles tomorrow to do X, Y, and Z. And you'd be like, okay, that sounds fun. I guess like, I can deal with the rest. So you were traveling a lot at this time, were you?
When I was living in the house?
Yeah. Or was everything coming to the house?
No, everybody was coming to the house. We took a couple different trips. Like we would take jets places just to get content. So we would be like, oh, you want to book a jet and fly to Tahoe today and get some content? So that was kind of cool. But no, it wasn't a ton of travel. We would go to California. Like that was kind of the most frequent place we would go is California. So no, not really travel. Everybody came to us.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, do you have any fun stories about any celebrities or obviously things you're allowed to tell, but I'm sure you've witnessed a lot of interesting things in that world.
Yeah, there's definitely been crazy things. Some of them I won't say on the podcast just because I do believe in preserving dignity.
NDAs probably too.
Not even necessarily NDAs, but just like, I used to go on this whole rampage of like how traumatized I was from the guy that I learned from. And like, as I've grown, I'm like, you know what? Like, he was probably just doing the best that he can. So I have all these crazy stories of like the things that I was told. Like, I'll tell you one thing. I was told he would rather me go hang myself than continue the conversation because I made a button blue instead of red. It was like, it was that deep. It was wild. So I would say my craziest stories, like in living in that house, were definitely like relating to him. I do remember driving a pink Lamborghini, and I called my mom, and I was crying, and I was like, "Mom, I'm driving a Lamborghini, and I'm crying right now." And I was like, "I've learned that like I wasn't making good money." I was like, "But I've learned that money's really doesn't buy happiness." Like I never expected, to be crying in a Lamborghini. And so then that's kind of like when I was like, okay, I learned everything kind of through osmosis. I would look at things that he had done or things that he had said, but I never really understood like the why behind them. So towards the end of the time that I was working with them, I started reading all the Russell Brunson books, the .com secrets, expert secrets, traffic secrets, and it finally clicked. I was like, this makes so much sense. If you can combat the three false beliefs, the vehicle, like what gets the person from point A to point B, the internal, the like doubts about themselves, and then the external, like time and money, then like they're going to close. And so when I realized, oh, as long as you have those three core concepts and like you can connect with them, these funnels are going to go crazy. So I think one of my biggest accomplishments was working on the recession proof project with him 500. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No.
But I always joke around with like anybody who knows him 500. I'm like, have you known him long enough for back when his logo was a panda? And everybody's like, no, his logo was a panda. I was like, oh yeah, when we did Recession Proof Academy, it was a panda, and now it's like a cool like blue lightning bolt. But that was like my first project that I helped drive to. I think we did $1 million in a day on Black Friday, because we were running traffic and building up an audience and stuff for the recession proof program, but they had dropped recession proof extreme. And that's when I started seeing like funnel numbers that I'd never seen before, to the point where like the numbers merged together on the dashboard. And so some of my friends call me, oh yeah, this is the girl who broke ClickFunnels, because like I have these photos of all the numbers just merged together because it was so long. So that was such a cool thing to be like, wow, I'm good enough. I learned enough to like do so. Obviously, like he had a big brand. Like it wasn't purely me, but it was amazing to like be behind the scenes and watch something go from what it was. I mean, he was established, but like where it went, like, oh my gosh. So I would say that's probably one of like my favorite stories to tell, is just like, wow, how that blew up.
That's awesome. And it's great you referenced learning too. My dad always told me it's great to learn on another man's dollar. It's the best lessons you can get when you can just sit down and take notes. So it seems like you did learn a lot. Now, I feel like you're the perfect combination of a sales and a marketer. Formerly a brain surgeon, you've had some adversity in your life, you've moved around. It sounds like you really understand people and all kinds of people from your personal experiences. And then when you got, I guess you call it, classically trained in the systems, it all made sense to you. What would you attribute your best skill set to why you are where you're at right now?
I think I'm very resilient, and my toxic trait is I have a hard time burning bridges. So most people in their right mind would have ran. And I'm like, no, 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 no. What if it gets better? Like, what if I get better? And then it's not so, it never, like I kept getting better, and it never got better. Like, again, I'm so grateful for like that experience because it shaped me. But yeah, I have this whole process whenever I start a new project, because, you know, it's funny you say, oh, you really understand people, and not always. No, I've worked with so many different, like, I don't just work with people who are in fitness. I don't just work with people who are in real estate. So anytime I have a project come to me, like, I have to figure out how to understand them. On the surface level, I don't. And so I've developed over the years, like, three core, like, foundational documents that build an entire project. Like, those, before I start putting together any asset for a project, I have probably 60 to 100 pages of copy, just from these different like questions that I've developed that are so important to like making sure the product sells. Like, it obviously it ties into the false beliefs, but then it's like, okay, like, how can I get them to believe in a new identity? How can this product literally become, you know, Russell Brunson talks about building the cult like following. It's like, okay, like, how do I make this product a cult? Like an ethical cult, you know? It's going to drive transformation, you know? And so, like, as I kept building projects, I realized, wow, I'm asking myself the same questions. And so, like, I don't think I initially like understanding and connect, but I have developed the systems to figure out how. So that's been pretty cool. Like I've been super, super dedicated to learning. Like anytime, I say all the time, like at least 3 or 4 times a week. Oh my gosh, I can't learn fast enough. Cause I've been doing this since 2017 now, and I still hit things on a weekly basis. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Especially as my team grew, like leadership, I think was one of the hardest things for me because, well, who did I learn from? Someone who's not very nice. So it's like now when I'm going to teach, I have like a little more empathy because I'm like, okay, I understand why he said this thing that I'm not going to say right now because I don't want them to quit. So I ended up going to Harvard and took one of their certifications, not like a whole degree, but I took one of their certifications on like leadership and business ethics and stuff like that to try to understand. I still don't understand. Like, and so that's my next joke is like, yeah, I went to Harvard and I still don't know how to be a good leader. So, but it's something like I'm painfully self-aware. So my team, like we all are very, very close with each other. And so they kind of know the personality dynamics, and they also know what I'm willing to accept and what I'm willing not to accept. Like it was funny. We had a conversation 2 or 3 weeks ago where somebody like turned in an email sequence and it was full of like all the M dashes. I don't know. The chat M dash.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm like, I'm not reading this. And he's like, why? I spent so many hours on it. I was like, it's full of M dashes. If I command F right now, and will I find the word fluff? Will I find the word grind? Will I find the word guru? And he's like, probably. I'm like, okay. Show me this when it has none of that. So I feel like my leadership has improved, but it's definitely still harsh. Like I will flat out say I'm not going to look at this because, there's a standard of, as a 100% referral based business and working with the caliber of people that we do, like there's not room. Like that would be embarrassing for a client to come back and say, did you use ChatGPT to write that? Especially when like the first thing I told you is I'm gifted with copywriting. So if somebody asks, oh, did chat write that, when like copywriting is like what I first was good at and I built skills off of, like that is huge for me. I don't really know if I've answered the question.
No, that's good.
Kind of steered off of it.
It's crazy the M dash too, because I mean I think that's a pretty obvious thing now. When you like, no one uses dashes organically.
I do though. That's the hardest.
So now
part.
you are forever. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I can't anymore. I'm the person, instead of like a ... instead of a semicolon, I use the M dash.
Like, okay, Justina, another dash. Yeah, it's funny.
I'm like, I wonder if people think I'm like using chat to text them.
So talk about your copywriting skill set. Did you, at any point in your school or your skills or growing up, were you ever interested in writing or creative thinking? Like, where did those skills come from?
I was always a really good writer.
Great.
I sing too. I've always been able to write songs like very quickly. Like you give me a subject and you give me like 20 minutes and like, here's a song. So like, it's just been like, I've been like I loved reading growing up, like my very high level skills. Like I was reading at like a 3rd or 4th grade level when I was in kindergarten, which was so hard for me, by the way, because when all of the kids got to sit in their little circle and read like Magic School Bus books and I'm reading like chapter books, that was not fair. I felt isolated. But I definitely naturally am gifted. And it's funny because I've talked to, like, I have really tried to find people who are better than me and ask them, like, how do I teach this? How do I do this? Like, because for me, like, it just happens. Like when I write a video sales letter script, I just take my phone and like, I walk around my house and I'm like recording just different things, like based off of like my tonality worksheet and like my prompting exercise that I was telling you about. And then I take that brain dump and then I turn it into a script. But obviously, like, that's not a system. Like I can't tell somebody who just came onto my team, oh yeah, just like voice memo and then write it, So that's definitely been a challenge, is to try to teach copywriting. And what some of the great copywriters have told me is it really is a gift. And there's a lot that you can do, especially now leveraging AI. to understand and become better at it. But I do think that the best copywriters just they have a natural talent for it. That doesn't mean you can't become a great copywriter by any means. There's so many great books like Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards, all of like the magnetic marketing stuff Dan Kennedy has, like super, super valuable. But also everything that I learned and everything that I built was off of the 4 secret books. So Traffic Secrets, .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, Copywriting Secrets. I did not start reading new books until like 6 months ago, I'd say, because finally I was like, okay, I need to, where do I get more? How do I get more? Who do I run to at this point? Like, yeah, it's just, it's really cool. Like you feel like proud of yourself to have gotten to that point, and like you start to kind of almost question your ego sometimes, where you're like, am I really that good? And is it proud of me? Like, is it prideful of me to say that? But then like I've been able to have like the conversations with all these different like great mentors. Like Krista Mayshore is an amazing mentor for me. Brandon Bowski is another one of them. I've gotten to talk to Russell Brunson. It's funny. I just was at Funnel Hacking Live, and ClickFunnels posted me because I'm the girl with the funnel tattoo.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I have a tornado, like a funnel. So it's, yeah, I've been super blessed to be able to connect with a lot of those people now that I've grown and I've worked with all these big like coaches and stuff. And yeah, now I'm finally like, I am trying to just absorb as much as I can, because I built it off of 4 books for what, just 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20, like 7 years. I'm bad at math. But like 2017 up until like 6 months ago, it was based off of those 4 books alone. So those 4 books are super powerful, and I recommend anybody read them. I genuinely believe you can build $1 million business like very quickly just with that alone. But yeah, just maybe if I would have took some of the learning material that I have access to now or sought out like a coach sooner, I wouldn't say, oh, I can't learn fast enough. But yeah, and then the other thing about the digital space is it is ever evolving, so now like the types of conversions that I'm seeing aren't on the typical like marketing text. I've started to become strategic with how I'm actually fabricating group messages for appointment setting, which is so cool. Like we cause SendBlue, I don't know if you've heard of SendBlue, but they integrate with Go High Level, which is like the primary I'm big on Go High Level and ClickFunnels. But they integrate with Go High Level, and they'll let you group text. So I will add the coach, the face of the company, the setter, and the closer to the group chat. And it will seem like it's a whole like real conversation. Like, so setter's like, hey, just wanted to throw you in a quick group chat with coach and closer, just so you guys can confirm the appointment. Right. So the setter sends that message, closer, and you can mix it around for your company. I've mixed it around a couple different times, and I've been watching it, and it's like, holy crap. Then the closer sends a voice memo. SendBlue lets you send voice memos too. I have had these closers. I'm like, literally get in your car and drive while you're doing this and record it. Hey, sorry, I'm driving right now. I saw your appointment come through. I'm super excited to chat. As soon as I'm back from running these errands, I am going to send you a couple different materials so you can get prepared for the call. And it's this whole manufactured, like, coach then sends, oh, don't forget, I don't know if you were going to send this resource, but give them my ebook. And so it seems like there's this whole conversation going on in the background, but it's all automated. Wow. Because people don't want, hey, it's so-and-so again, we're running a sale. Like nobody, like there's so many of those texts now that like nobody cares that it's 50% off unless like they're at like that level of awareness where they're like on the verge of buying. So I was like, okay, we need to get creative. Like, how do we facilitate these conversations? Like, how do we create authentic conversations now, especially when it comes to like a high ticket product? Like people have to feel safe. People have to feel it's authentic. And so like the first couple of days of it are not, it is pure automation, but like I'm using that as an example to just like show like people don't want the old kind of like marketing campaigns. Sure they do work. Like I don't think that they're going to stop working altogether just because they tie into like psychological marketing principles. But yeah, people need to be talked to different, especially because attention spans. So yeah, that's something that like I've definitely learned. And I would say probably the last like 60, 90 days, I've noticed certain things don't work as well anymore. I'm like, okay, how do I adapt? How do I keep these percentages high? Because I also have like a very unreasonable expectation for funnel performances too. And I'm like, I just assume that it's all my fault. If it drops, but like if an opt-in rate is below 20%, it's your fault. Like I just tell myself it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault every time. Like, how do I fix this? So yeah, that's a cool little like nugget I can share with you. It's really powerful for any company that has a setter closer dynamic for sure.
It's really creative. And like you're saying too, it's just, especially in nowadays, and I was going to get to this later, but like competing with AI and social media, especially you starting off in 2017, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things change. But staying creative, getting user attention, and like you like sending a group chat, some kind of like differentiated, like what's going on here? What is this? Oh, is this real? I feel like that's something people often ask themselves is like, oh, this seems genuine. People are reaching out to me. It's really impressive. So
Thank you.
I wanted to get into your company more as you start to grow more. You mentioned early on leadership was a hurdle you had to navigate and learn. Talk about, and also as a referral based company, talk about some of your first few clients, scaling the company, like give me like the 2025 range of like what's going on at this point in Optimum Owls.
So the growth process initially started because towards the end of like when I broke off with the other company, Clubhouse was huge. I don't know if you remember Clubhouse.
Yes. Oh, it's not
But
around anymore?
no, no, nobody's on Club. Maybe they are. Clubhouse kind of died. It had like a big, but I was speaking on all these stages on Clubhouse. Like people just kept in. Like I had a couple friends that were like the pretty large influencers that would get on, and so they'd invite me to stages, and then I would get all these other like followers that were people I hadn't met yet. And so if they saw me come in, they'd just add me as a moderator. I actually I sent out like 20 black sweatshirts that said moderator to like the people I was talking like regularly on stage with, just to like build a relationship, you know? It
Creative.
was so cool. You invited me. I will never forgive Bradley. Bradley, if you listen to this, I will never forgive you for wiping me off the stage. I don't remember what the topic was, but like I had answered a question on like it was like the three false beliefs kind of thing, and he removed me as a moderator after I finished it. I was wiped from the stage.
Was it like a
So
joke or like
no, no, he just didn't. I guess he just didn't like what I had to say. But yeah, I was removed. I like
no.
requested to be moderator again, didn't get added back. I was like, okay, that was humbling. Like, let me reflect on what I said. Was that a no? But yeah, I was building connections with people on Clubhouse, and so I had people asking for my help on projects, and so I was bringing these projects to the guy I was working with, saying like, hey, do we want to work with this person? He's like, if they don't want to pay 25K and give us 25% of the business, I'm not interested. And I'm like, okay, well, I have all these people who are willing to pay me like $5,000, $10,000 for a project. Like, that doesn't mean anything to you. Like, what if I just handle it on my own, like outside of everything? He's like, no. So I'm like starting to get frustrated because all these people are asking for my help. And he's like, no, we're not taking those. We're not taking those clients. We're not taking those clients. So as I was getting more and more frustrated towards the end of it, I'm like, I really think I could do this on my own. Because it was my last straw. Like this girl really wanted to work with me, and he was like, firm no. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And so that was my first client, and I really didn't think like back what would be past her. Hood to Heights, at Hood to Heights. That was my first solo client. She's like she does a lot of finance stuff, but I did not think through what would happen like after I had my first client. You know, I was living in this house too, by the way. I had to move back in with my mom. Like that's a little bit humbling to have to like move back in with your mom because like you left like what looked like this crazy amazing life I was living, driving the cars, flying on the jets, you know. And then I started working with another person. I've worked with so many people in the finance space. It's crazy. Like anybody who comes to me that like is like in the credit space, I'm like, okay, wash, rinse, repeat. So I got connected with another guy, Van Taylor, and I was helping him with a bunch of his marketing, like launching his inner circle offer, and got connected also with Melissa Wagi, who runs Epic Talks in Miami. And I actually ended up jumping between Vegas and Miami every month. I would fly out and I'd go and live in Miami for 2 weeks and like help her do Epic Talks, and then I'd come back. So those were kind of like my two things, was working with Van, and Van had a very big circle. And one of my big projects for him was to help him do a 3-day event. So, built the funnel. We broke even on the front end, which is amazing. Most events don't break even. If in-person events don't break even on the front end. So I was like super excited just with that alone, because I knew that there was going to be pitching from the stage, and we would make a bunch of money off of that. So that's when like all these big speakers came in. David Shan spoke, Him 500 came in and spoke, and I got to be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if you remember me, because I was working with the other guy like back when I did that project. I was like, but I built your funnel for this. And he's like, oh yeah, I do. And so then that's when we were able to kind of reconnect there. And I got a bunch of just really amazing speakers at that event. Now knew, oh, she does all the marketing and all these funnels look so good for her. Let me do all of this. So then me and Van started collaborating, and he's like, okay, let me bring you high ticket clients and we'll split these. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to do acquisition. So he's going, and you know what? He's price gouging. It's kind of unfair for me, but I'm taking it. I don't want to search for clients. So yeah, I did a couple projects like that with him. And then we were doing this like launch to Africa offer where Akon was going to be there. It was a very expensive package where everybody could go on this retreat to Africa. And then the COVID regulations like hit, and it wasn't able to happen. And I don't know where, like, I hope Van is okay. He's gone. Nobody's heard from him. Like, I used to like work out with his wife and stuff too. Like, so it's funny, like, cause I just was at Funnel Hacking Live in February. So, like you network, and I'm like, hey, does anybody know what happened to him? And everybody that asked about it were like, no. So I worked with him for, I would say 6 months or so. And then, I was meeting people at Epic Talks also, and I got nominated for an award. And so I got like this market award of, is it in here? Oh no, it's in the other room. I was going to show you. Like a plaque, like a leader, like a leadership excellent women of marketer award. So then that's when I got to start speaking. That kind of like opened the door for me to like be up on stages, and like real stages, not just like a clubhouse. So I'm in Miami, and we did the Epic Talks, and the speakers for Epic Talks were all talking, and they're like, oh, you fly back to Vegas tomorrow? Oh, that's such a bummer. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I wish I could stay longer. Like, you guys are so cool. And they're like, stay. And I'm like, okay, put me on stage, and I'll stay. They're like, you want to speak? What are you going to speak on? I was like, marketing. They're like, okay, we'll put her on a panel. And I was like, oh crap, I'm canceling my flight. And that was really cool because Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank spoke at that event. Awesome. And so I have like all these photos like with different people, like with the Shark Tank background. And so now I have like all this like credibility building up. They've seen me throw these events. I have a funnel portfolio that's my own. The saddest thing was when I left working with the other guy, immediately kicked me out of his ClickFunnels account, and I built like 100 funnels in there. So I had no portfolio either. That was so brutal. Like all of like these different, unless it was like a live active campaign that people were running that I could be like, oh yeah, this is my site. But I can't show you inside of ClickFunnels to prove it, but it is my site, like I was like, crap. So now I had a portfolio, I'm speaking and stuff like that. And, it grew and grew. And then what kind of transformed me to where I am now is I took on this super cool fractional CMO role where I was there for a couple hours. Like I would go in for a couple hours, and I still had like other clients on the side and stuff. But this guy just liked to start new businesses. Like every week he'd be like, want to start a limo company? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, this limo looks pretty cheap. I think I'm going to buy it. I'm like, okay. So now I'm out of the coaching space with this guy. So I'm figuring out like how to build all of these companies that I've never even thought about. And he's like, this is my return on investment is 2x. If it's not 4x, we're going to shut down the company. I'm like, what? So he would just start these companies and close these companies, and I'm building funnels and funnels and funnels. And like my favorite project to this day, it's my favorite one to demo, pool fencing. Pool fencing. Like you would never, oh my gosh, how quickly I built this business and the whole like system and Go High Level to automate the whole thing. It was crazy. But yeah, while I was working with him, I needed to have more CRM functionality than ClickFunnels gave. And one of the guys that I'd worked with over the years, Jackson Yu, love Jackson. We got connected in the very beginning, back when I was working with eLabel. Mm-hmm. And when I left, I continued to stay in touch with him. He was like, oh, well, I have this software called AutomaticSales.ai. Like, if these clients aren't super important, like this role, you have like more bandwidth to not be like perfect the way that I know how to be perfect with ClickFunnels. He's like, why don't you use my software? This man, I've told him, I do not forgive him. This man did not tell me it was Go High Level, because if I knew it was Go High Level in the beginning, I was like, we do not sin against Daddy Brunson like that. So I ended up starting to use it and finding like all of these like automation capabilities and just trying to think like, how can we make things more and more hands off? So one of the things that he had was a truck parking lot, semi trucks. Oh, when I tell you all these businesses were so random. A lot of them were in logistics. So I know way too much about semi trucks now. Cool. But I was like, okay, well, how do we automatically assign a gate code when they like purchase and give them a spot number? And so this is when I started using ChatGPT for the first time too. I'm so glad that I didn't have chat when I first started. It's a little side note, because I don't think I would be as good as I am now. I'm able to leverage AI, not rely on AI. But anyways, I'm using ChatGPT to teach me how to code an automation that's checking for a spot that's open on a spreadsheet. I made a spreadsheet that had 110 parking spots, and it would spit the custom fields of like the check-in and check-out date onto it. And the script would run and check for the day, and it would highlight the row in red. And so we just had to tell like one of the guys who worked at the warehouse, hey, get on the golf cart, check and see if this spot's like they haven't left. And if it's not, I created like a template that's like, oh, you just tap this button and it starts sending them reminders like, here, extend your reservation or leave. So that was definitely like that. And the pool fencing company is where like I really found so much like insane potential with Go High Level. It got to the point where I built a parking lot management tool on top of it that spoke with a property management tool for another company. So there's this apartment complexes use Butterfly MX, and I was like, what if we used like the check-in thing like that apartment complexes use like all these truck parking lots. So yeah, I figured out like with their API documentation how to get that to talk to Go High Level. ChatGPT, so much chat. I've like taught myself like code all through ChatGPT. So yeah, once I started demoing projects like that, people were like, I don't know what all of that is, but here's my money. Like that's
Make
what like calls have started to become, is less of me like really like getting to know their business and more like showing them, oh, my funnels are beautiful. And I just built this fully automated system from acquisition to retention, like all the way through. And that's where I would say like my skill set really lies, is like ecosystem, because for the longest time people were like, you have to niche. And like, I will be so bored if I niche them. Maybe that will limit me. But like, it took me a long time to realize like my specialty is ecosystem. Like because if you have good traffic but a bad funnel, like you're not going to make a lot of sales. If you have bad traffic but a good funnel, like you'll get a little bit of volume. Good traffic, good funnel. Okay, is your backend operations going to support that volume? No. Okay, maybe it does, but once they're in there, like your competitor has more material that they teach on. If your competitor offers more than you do, you're doing a disservice. You are disservicing your customer by giving them any opportunity to feel like they need to go to their competitor. So I'll go and audit the whole curriculum even and see, like, are they missing any piece that they would need to be successful in what their vehicle is from point A to point B. And then how do I keep moving them up the value ladder? How do I get them to refer people? How do I launch an affiliate program? How do I get reviews? So I look at the entire business as one big ecosystem instead of saying, okay, I'm going to build a funnel for your business. Here it is. It's beautiful.
I like it. No, it's impressive. And it's honestly a great marketing tool for you too. It's just like you come in here and you change the landscape of how things are being run. And that can be drop and play for any company. And I think that's why the success you have is it speaks to the volume of your skill set. You can really make these people's systems better and then let them just do the rest of what they're good at.
It's really fun, but it's so hard for me to be like, hey, I want to do this for you, but this is like way outside of scope. Like, I really want to do it for you. It's going to make everything way better. But like this, do you want it? And like, that's the hardest thing for me is like, I'll outline an initial project and give a proposal. And I think that's going to be everything. But once I'm like elbows deep in it, I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to have this, this, and this, and this. And then I don't feel like the project will be complete without this, this, and this, and this. And so I end up doing more because I'm like, they need it. That is another one of like my struggles now is like communicating like, hey, this is the stopping point. I have way more value that I can provide, but like this is where we're at. That is, I would say, more than leadership, like that is the hardest thing for me is like setting boundaries on projects because I just want to do and do and do and like make things as like big and successful as possible.
Yeah, it's like if someone asking you to help cook something, but only just put like the garnish on when you see all the ingredients. You're like, well, this could be prepped better and that could be. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great interview. As we start to wrap up, I kind of just want to overarching. I think you're in a very powerful situation of someone who kind of, life gave you some different angles and avenues and you took it and ran with it and you are where you are today. What advice would you give to anyone struggling with their, let's say, even purpose and a greater scope or on a smaller scope, finding what they want to do as a career and saying yes to all opportunities? What kind of advice would you give to someone, maybe even your younger self at 17 before all this began?
In the least offensive way, stop making excuses. Like there are so many people that are like, no, I don't have any excuses. Like I just can't do it. And I'm like, that is an excuse. Like you need to really, there's two components. Really sit down and like, are your excuses legitimate? Oh, I have to pick up my kids from school. Okay, how long does it take you to drive there and back? Like, do you have time between when you cook dinner for them or whatever? Like, I genuinely also believe in people, like unpopular opinion, you have to want it so bad. Like in this space, you have to want it so bad. Like you have to be a crazy dreamer to be able to, like you can have success without being that, but like you have to be obsessed to really, really build it. And then the other side of it is, so drop your excuses, become obsessed, and then like find the right resources. And that's why I was saying that like the trilogy books, like I will die on the grave that those are the most powerful books that anybody could read. Like I said, again, I don't even endorse any of this stuff. Like I should create an affiliate link. I literally don't. I genuinely think anybody could create $1 million business just from reading those 3 books.
I think you should make a book that's like, I guarantee you'll make $1 million if you just read this book and then incorporate all the skills into one book.
It's funny you say that because I've thought about taking the trilogy and putting my annotations, because there's something called a borrowed book funnel where people will actually like resell somebody else's book with like, oh, but this is this, this is this. So I was like, what if I did a borrowed book funnel on like the trilogy and had like my annotations and stuff? I probably could reach out to Russell and make sure he's good, like with me reselling his books and figure something out. I have thought about that. Cause it's crazy. I don't have my own offer. Like, I mean, my offer is like ecosystem, but like, I don't actually like, I don't do a lot of like coaching or mentorship outside of like I had mentioned Jackson U. He has a school community of like 3,000 like aspiring people. And so I'll go in and I'll do coaching in there. But like honestly, beyond that, like I don't teach a lot of
Gotcha.
people, and I love teaching. So it's funny you mentioned that, because I have thought about like, here's Justina's takeaways from the books that are powerful enough on their own, but here's what I did with them too, kind of thing.
At the very least, if you don't want to do that direction of, I guess, spitting out like the teaching and the coaching side, with your writing skill set and your creativity, at least a book about like entrepreneurship and how to navigate the marketing agency in itself, I think it'd be very worthwhile, because you have a lot to teach. You have a great skill
So much
set,
to
and
say.
you're a
And
creative
I do
writer.
love teaching. I do love
And
teaching.
yeah, and you're a great writer. It seems like
Yeah.
you like to teach, like to write.
Yeah.
I'd buy your book too. So let me know whenever that gets
Yeah.
written. And then the last thing I want to ask you is, where do you see yourself going? Tell me the future of where you see your company going, and also what do you want to do in life? Is there anything else, other fields you want to get into? Do you want to translate your skill set in this and bring it to like I don't know, is there any kind of dream funnel or client you'd like to work with? I asked you 4 different questions right there. So
No,
good luck.
it makes sense. I don't have like a specific, this is my top of the line. I think that this would be what makes me have made it, because I think that if I have a specific thing, of course I have goals, but if I have a specific thing, that's putting a cap on my potential. Which a client of mine, Luke Lunkenheimer, he's a sales coach. Like he was somebody who showed me like that kind of concept is like, one of the things like a year or two ago, I was like, oh my gosh, Russell Brunson followed me. Like, I'm so excited. Russell follows me now. And then like 6 weeks later, I ended up getting invited to be at like this private event with him. And so I was like, Luke, I get to go to this private event with him. I was like, I'm so excited. Like, I can't wait to like see him and talk to him for real. And I was like, I'm just so lucky. And Luke was like, what if he's the lucky one? Like, what if he's the lucky one to have the conversation with you? Like, you can't say those kinds of things because it could be the other way around. And that kind of like really put like a change in perspective on like how I set goals and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I would love to collaborate with ClickFunnels on something, and they know that. They are very well aware that I would love to collaborate with them on something. Like that would definitely be like in my dream bucket for sure. I think definitely like eventually I will release my own product. I just have to like, I'm a perfectionist. So when I do, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be really special. And then I guess the last thing, it's one thing that I'm working on. It's called the perfect poop, because my goal is to make $1 million selling poop. I'm building it on ClickFunnels, and it is a course that teaches you about digestion and how poop is the number one indicator of your health. You don't need to go and buy all the supplements and like go to a gastroenterologist or however you say it. Like this is your body's like first sign. And so like we created these ebooks that like have the Bristol stool chart. Yes, that's a thing.
Yeah,
And
you're preaching to the choir over here. I had sorry to cut you off. I have a gluten allergy, and for 3 years I was investigating what was going on with my digestive system. But I do use poops as an indicator of healthy gut. So I couldn't agree with you more. I also did learn like what to look for, like what's good and what's not.
it's funny.
It's very beneficial.
One of my headlines is "Let's get awkward and honest." Like, what is your poop trying to tell? The copy on it is so good. So I guess that's
so
like that's my near future goal.
like
in
that.
the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be launching a funnel that's selling the perfect poop with an upsell for the squatty potty. I call it the
need
terrific
that.
turd. So perfect poop goes to the terrific turd, and then the no wipe wonder, which is the next upsell, which is a bidet. So that's my ascension model. And my dream in the next like 6 to 9 months is to win a 2 Comma Club award. So I can say that I made $1 million teaching people how to shit. Just for shits and giggles, if you want to put a spin on it. Yeah. So
This is like the fifth time in the conversation. I'm just like, wow, that is very creative. That's an awesome idea. We need to normalize poop talk.
I can't give all the credit to myself. I'm partnering with Brandon Bowski on it. He was making jokes about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this idea. And then Justina did her thing and like dove all in. And I think I froze. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you. No worries. It's probably the service up top. We can get your
okay. It was his initial idea, and then I showed him. I created all the deliverables for it. I made all the ebooks. I made all the everything, and he's like, I was not expecting this, and I was like, well, like we have to have a 2 Comma Club like award-winning funnel. Like here we go. Here's the offer stack. So it was like he had the surface level like idea for it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with it. And I started writing copy as he was in front of me. I was like, I love this idea. And I started like generating headlines in a Google Doc. And so it wasn't all me. Like I will not take credit for all of that, but
a collaborative effort. He had the idea, but you gave him the fiber he needed to get it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's all cohesive.
Love the play on words.
If the analogy is, that made sense. Yeah. Anyways, but that's great. I think I'm excited to see where you go. And I think whenever if I ever see in my life some kind of fun coaching or opportunities for things I didn't know, like pooping, I'll be like, that's probably Justina, and that's a genius idea.
Well, there's podcast funnels too.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Yeah,
There's a funnel
absolutely.
for everything. There's a funnel for everything, and funnels are for everyone.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. I've learned a lot. And last thing I'll say, do you want to let the audience know how they can reach you or anything to follow you, direct you to your work or anything?
Yeah,
the table's yours.
Like I said in the beginning, I'm not big on social media, but you can follow me on Instagram at Justina's World. You can also send me an email to justina@optimumowls.com. And I will definitely see that. So DM on Instagram, or you can email me. And I'd love to. I'm pretty sure you can book a discovery call with me on optimumowls.com, and we can kind of dissect your business for 20, 30 minutes. I have so much fun doing that. So yeah, those would be the 3 ways to get in touch if you're interested.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. I think we all learned a little bit more listening to this. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.